Yvette Carnell coming to you on a very, 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 very busy news day. And I want to give you some time to do whatever you need to do right now. If you want to get yourself something to drink, if you want to get yourself something to eat, I need to give you time to do that. Because we have a lot to discuss today. There's a lot that happened today that we need to talk about. So take a moment to just kind of get yourself situated.
Yeah.
Are you seeing it?
No, it's not coming up on my Facebook either.
Bear with us if y'all on YouTube. We can't get it to.
Yeah, we're two platform people, so. Oof.
Hey, Breaking Brown family. It's Yvette Carnell coming to you again. We had a busy day today, so I want you take some time, get whatever drink you needed. We had a few technical difficulties, so we're getting started a little bit late. So you may have had the time you need. I want to get to the point because today was a very busy day in politics, and I also want to get to the point of what I promised to bring you today in terms of what are the solutions. If this doesn't work out, and it's hey, we're not looking great right now. If this doesn't work out, the question that I've been asked over and over again is if this doesn't work out, if Trump doesn't come through and do anything for black people, what are we going to do? What do you do if Trump decides I'm not doing anything? As a matter of fact, I'm going to cut it. I want to be very clear about what that looks like. I want to be very clear about what that means. You know, Trump, he's the president, whether we like it or not, he's the president. So I think we should be very clear about what are the ramifications. Because a lot of people say, hey, Yvette, you just look scared. You're just scared. Why are you so scared? Why are you so afraid? Oh my God, you look like a slave. Why are you so afraid if Trump comes in? Well, I'm gonna kind of break that down for you. And I'm gonna break down what needs to happen. If what needs to happen if Trump says, you know what, you're screwed.
You should have came out for me first.
Oh, you should have not. Oh, you should have acted in a way like you are. Like you should have been humble, because you're
not
on the bottom.
My president. Well, we'll see what that looks like.
We'll see what that looks like, and I'm gonna go down. Like I don't know if you, many of you, some of you are, but I don't know if everybody is follows my Facebook. But. And if you don't, you can follow the other Facebook. I have another Facebook account. If you have a chance, I want you to share this. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share this video before I get started. Don't forget to, if you're on YouTube, subscribe and tweet the video. But I want to just take a moment to share something that I shared probably, on my personal Facebook probably yesterday. I think I shared it yesterday. And I want to just take a moment and tell you what I shared. It's something that Dr. Martin Luther King said when he was in Chicago. And, he about got ran out of Chicago. But he said, this day henceforth and forevermore, we must make it clear that we will purge Chicago of every politician, whether he be Negro or white, who feels that he owns the Negro vote rather than earns the Negro vote. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So one of the things I just want to say, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but if you want to think about something that you can control, whether or not Donald Trump is in office, we got to start controlling our politics. We have to start, the politicians, it doesn't matter if they're black. We have to start owning our politics. Now, you may not be able to control Trump, but you can control your own politics. It's up to black people to make sure that we don't get another Cory Booker, that we don't get a Barack Obama who rises up on the vote of minorities. That's our job. And that's what Cory Booker did in New Jersey, and that's what Obama did in those when he was a community organizer in Chicago. They rise up on the backs of poor black people. What you can do is make sure that no other politician comes up that way who doesn't have your interest at heart.
Kamala Harris, has she really said anything about black people?
No, I know she told the Dreamers that she's on their side. Right. But I want to explain. This is something that's very, very kind of dear to my heart. I want to really explain what it looks like, because nobody understands, and I have a lot of people who are talking who don't know anything, and it's problematic. and I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful to anybody, but there are a lot of people on YouTube and elsewhere who have no problem having a conversation and don't know anything. You're just talking. There's everything that you're saying is not anchored in anything. You're just saying some homespun wisdom or something your mama told you or something your grandmama or granddaddy told you. That doesn't fit anymore. So let me tell you how it doesn't fit. First of all, before I tell you what to do if Trump becomes president and how we react, I want to tell you what it could look like if we don't get anything from Trump. I heard he's cutting the civil rights division. I heard he's cutting some other stuff that, freeze in terms of hiring federal workers. 25% of federal workers are black, right? So I'm trying to give you the best understanding that I can in terms of, in framing this in terms of what this looked like if we don't get anything. If you want to understand why is Yvette trying so hard to get Donald Trump to come on board with something for black people? Why is she pushing so hard? Is she scared? You should be scared.
Yes.
You should be scared.
Yes.
If you're not afraid, then you don't understand the cash flow to black people from the federal government. If you're not afraid, then you don't understand what your life looks like if Donald Trump decides to cut everything or most of what flows to black people. You should be afraid. If you're not afraid for your people and the people around you, then I think you're crazy. So the best way for me to break this down is to give you an analogy. Analogies work. So I saw on TV that Kellyanne Conway said something basically saying that Trump is considering changing Medicaid. And he would change Medicaid in such a way that what we will be looking at is block grants. We will be looking at block grants, and block grants as opposed to what, Yvette? Block grants as opposed to an entitlement. Block grants as opposed to an entitlement. Well, what does that mean, Yvette? Why are block grants so much worse than entitlements? Well, let me before I get there, understand what Medicaid helps. It helps poor people, disabled people, elderly people, all kind of indigent people who don't have funds. That's what it means. Let's go back to block grant. An entitlement means it's a government guarantee. If you're poor, if you earn a certain amount, if you have this type of disability, it's a government guarantee that if you fall below this line, we have a guarantee to take care of you. Now, a guarantee means if there's a deep, deep recession, the government gives more money because a guarantee is a guarantee if you meet the threshold. If there's some kind of extreme depression or downturn, the government gives more money because people are suffering and there's a guarantee there. There's a guarantee. A block grant means there is no guarantee. And it means the states get to decide what you get and how little you get. And what we saw in Bill Clinton's welfare reform.
When the states decide?
When the states decide, that means it's over. It's basically over. When the states get to decide how much money you get, there's a great, and it's in that clip. There's a great article that if you have the time right now, it's called Worst Thing Bill Clinton Has Ever Done. It's from like 1997, I think. 1997, the worst thing Bill Clinton has ever done. If you really want to understand the danger of turning entitlements into block grants, you really need to read that. You really need to read that. You need to take some time out of your day, take the time out of your life and read that article. And what I would say is that, there's so many things that you can do with a block grant. In terms of, in terms of even like there are time limits. They can put in time limits. They can say you can only have it for this long. Well, what if understand that we're in the era of no jobs. So if they tell you we're in the era of not having things, we're in the era of Uber. That's what we are. And there's a good Uber clip there too. We're in the era, that's where we are. So understand what that means if the government can say, you know what, regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of how long you've been trying to find a job and you can't find one. Do you know how many people are out of the labor force right now? Are not participating in it's the highest in at least 30 years of people not participating in the labor force because there are no jobs. And jobs have been automated. And that's where we are. And if you turn Medicaid into a block grant, then you have people that have no guarantee that even though they can't find a job, that they're going to get assistance from the government. And then the state has control over it. They can put churches over it. They can cut it. They have discretionary power to use that money for other programs for the state.
This never works well for black people.
It never works. And you know who's disimpacted? Do you know who's disaffected the most? who's disaffected the most are people who are in poor communities. That's Chicago. That's Detroit. That's Milwaukee. That's poor communities in Atlanta. That's all of that. That's us. We're already double the unemployment rate. That's who we are. That's where we are. And the funniest thing when you look at it, at the time that this shows you how nefarious Clinton was, but it shows you like the importance of always, if you can't take one thing away from this video, I want you to take away that you should always be opposed to block grants. When somebody mentions block grant to you, say no, absolutely not.
I want the guarantee.
I want the federal guarantee. Don't say, well, that sounds good and well, that sounds nice. I need the federal guarantee. And what you have to understand, the study showed, I'm reading this right now, the study showed before Bill Clinton passed welfare reform that it would move 2.6 million people, including 1.1 million children, to poverty. That's what happened with a block grant. That's what block grants mean. It showed that families would lose 11 million in income. 24 billion they lost in food stamps. Food stamps wasn't even part of welfare. They lost that much in food stamps. You know, the state could turn it over to, like I said, the church and the corporation. There were no hearings and appeals. You can't appeal a decision. If you go right now and they decide that you can't get this assistance, you can appeal it. If you get disability, you can appeal it. No appeals. Right. The state can do what they want.
Right. When it's a guarantee, you can appeal.
You can appeal. There's a due process. There's a legal due process. It's a right that's afforded to you. There's a legal that does not happen, people, if Medicaid is turned into a block grant. So there is no adjustment for inflation or population. So if inflation changes and everything is more expensive, let's say food is more expensive, gas is more expensive, all that stuff, you still don't get an increase in your money. So your money spends less. That's what block grants do. It's almost like a slush fund in some ways for the state to do what it wants to do and the state to cut it like it wants to cut it.
To be honest, do we own any states as black people?
No.
No. All state governments are a little bit anti-black.
It's
with 13% of the population, we don't own any states. Not even South Carolina. And there are a lot of black people in South Carolina. But no, that's a Republican government. They're not looking out for us.
No, they're not looking out for us. No, it's the one of the things that, and this is what I want to bring home. And people say to me, well, Yvette, I'm not on Medicaid, so why does it matter to me?
Your mama.
I'm not on Medicaid, so I have a job. Do you understand that the middle income for the black community is $1,700? Do you understand what happens if the people around you lose their Medicaid? Most black people live around each other. So do you understand what it looks like in your community if the people who just lost their money don't have it anymore and don't have any job to go to? Do you understand what that means for your physical security? First of all, let's not even talk about your family yet, but your physical security. You understand the increase in likelihood of you getting robbed or mugged in a black community if these people have no money? What do you think is going on in these black communities where there's so much crime? There's no opportunity and there's no cash flow from government anymore. Do you understand what that means for you? What that means for me, even in terms of your family? So, okay, do you understand what it happens if your family has no money? There's everybody that knows somebody who's either on food stamps or been on food stamps, or on Medicaid or been on Medicaid, or on one of these government programs that's covered by, and it covers stuff sometimes. They'll throw stuff in the bill that's not even a part of Medicaid. Everybody knows somebody who's on some type of assistance. Do you know what it means for you if you have a cousin, or if you had a cousin and a sister who was receiving some type of assistance and that assistance is gone? They're looking to you. And just because you have a job, you become the rich person in the family. You're now like Kobe Bryant, talking to his mama saying, you can't sell my stuff. That's what you are now. And it's not because they've done anything wrong. So you have to stop. One thing we have to stop doing is like blaming other black people, like there has to be something wrong with you, or why are you on Medicaid? And I say this all the time, and it makes people uncomfortable. But we come from slaves, and there are no jobs. We're in the era of Uber. We're in the era of long-term unemployment. We've always had double the unemployment of other people. That's where we are. So I don't know what the expectation is. I don't know what you think is supposed to come from that. I just don't understand what you think is supposed to happen. But I can tell you what's going to happen. So when you ask me, well, Yvette, I don't understand. I don't understand why you so scared. You sound like a scared slave. You sound like do you not understand what's going to happen? Do you not understand what's going to happen to all of us? I can't stress enough like what this means.
Yeah, we need to get on the language of guaranteed entitlements just because the Republicans are going to start going after it. And they're going to go after it slowly or quickly, but we need to know what we're talking about. When they say choice, it doesn't always mean what we want when we say choice. When they block grants sound great, they're going to give some money in your church. That doesn't necessarily mean that's good for black people because we don't want the block grant. We want the guarantee. We want the guarantee entitlement. Mm-hmm. We want the guaranteed entitlement. And don't get it twisted because they'll flatter your pastor. They'll flatter the nonprofit you might work with a block grant. But that's still not the same as the individual guarantee because the block grant goes to the state or it goes to the municipality. Most likely it goes to the state. And we don't control any states. We don't control any states. And then they start tying strings to it, and there goes our guarantee.
Listen, put up that food stamp. Put up that. This is what I need you to understand because a lot of us are delusional, and I'm just saying that because it's just the truth. A lot of us are delusional in terms of, and I've said this a lot on this show, but I have to say it again in terms of this idea that, well, Yvette, if the government cuts out everything, we can just do for self. If the government cuts out everything, listen, we are 13% of the population. In terms of food stamps, we take in about 25% of the food stamps. Now I want you to understand, because Trump is getting in here and he ain't playing games. I want you to understand what happens if that cash, Obama already cut food stamps. If Trump cuts food stamps again, I want you to understand what happens to your life if food stamps are gone. Do you not understand that if the people around you who are getting food stamps because they can't find a job, there are no jobs. Uber's not a job. If you're on Uber, you might as well say you're unemployed. You're taking a risk. You're hitchhiking. I mean, you're that's what it is. And you're taking all the risk. And all this happened under the Obama administration. All this happened under the Obama administration where Uber, you had over 100 years worth of labor law that disintegrated during the Obama administration. And now what you have is Trump taking advantage of it. Now I want to say, let me just read a little bit from you. There's a great article, when their shift in Uber drivers, and this is another clip I told you we got. When their shift ends, Uber drivers set up camp in parking lots. Irony's gonna put that up in just a second. Set up camp in parking lots. That's the article. Look up that article. sfgate.com. Just look up that article. And I want to read something to you. I just want to read a quick clip where it says, or I'll just tell you about it. It basically starts out talking about this guy and this group of people who are Uber drivers, and they sleep in like a parking lot. Yeah. Because they have to be near cities. They need to be near cities to get the higher fare. But they don't live near cities. So they sleep in parking lot. One guy in this article said that he's been working for 24 hours and he needed a nap. Now, understand with labor laws, you can't do that. There are certain limits to how long you can be driving. But with Uber, you can do whatever you want. And you take the risk. You take the risk of the person who's driving you, hurting you or harming you, trying to rape you. That's the risk you take. You take the risk as an Uber driver of being robbed. There was a woman who got killed in a hit and run. She was an Uber driver because you want to be out late nights to pick up the people who are drunk and going home, right? So understand what this means. And understand that eventually these Uber people are going to be replaced by cars don't need drivers.
Right. So
in an era of automation, these people are trying to move to not guaranteeing anything because they know that the unemployment rate is going to balloon. This whole 95% of the jobs created by Obama were part-time jobs. This thing is going to implode. And if we don't get guarantees, we're in an awful way. There's another clip about nearly half that shows you nearly half of poor black kids are in areas of extreme poverty. Nearly half of poor black and 37% of black kids are in areas of extreme poverty.
So even if you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm okay. No, these are your cousins. These are your kids' potential girlfriends and boyfriends. This is a problem. This is a problem because individuals think that wealth or stability is an individual property when it's not an individual property. It's a property of communities. And since the black community doesn't have that wealth, there is no individual stable or wealthy black person because, most of them are living around other black people. So, like, the way we solve this is a community, is a wealth strategy for the community. That means individuals need to be guaranteed stuff like, Medicare and Medicaid.
Somebody said find that wealth chart and put it up. Yeah, we shared the wealth chart before. But it's almost like we can't. It's almost like as black people right now we can't understand numbers. Like we're like, no, that's not true. No, but the numbers, but the statistics said that I ended a friendship with somebody who kept telling me it wasn't true.
They just didn't want it to be true.
Yeah, you can't tell me that just because you're doing okay. Well, you make 6 figures, so it's not true. No, you're just living in like a world that exists only in your mind. There's a psychological malfunction associated with that. That's not normal. So, when you look at, we have to talk about what that means. So what I want to talk about today is what it means. What does it mean? Because I don't think people understand the consequence of living in Trump's America if he does what he says he's going to do in terms of, because what could have happened? There are a lot of things at play here. So it could have been that Trump got immigration by giving over Medicaid and giving Republicans a lot of things that they want. But if we don't get something that we want in addition to immigration, then this is what happens to us.
Right. So there are lots of things we could get as an ask for black people. And today I did an interview with one of my profs. I'm a graduate.
What's the prof?
Professor.
Okay.
One of my professors. I'm a PhD student studying philosophy at the University of Georgia. And I did an interview with one of my professors in studio here. And we talked about what guaranteed asks looked like. And he talked about, look, the federal government needs to guarantee a job to all citizens.
Can't see your head.
Yeah. Oh, you can't see where's my head? The federal job needs to guarantee the federal government needs to guarantee a job to all citizens. And this is what he said in the interview.
Anytime you impose upon the market or business certain requirements, you will always be met with the answer that, well, this is going to lead to job loss because companies are not going to be able to provide for the environment, be environmentally protective, allow flexibility in work without laying people off because of the additional costs. Well, one has to eliminate that problem. By
that whole line of argument you want to eliminate with one fell swoop.
By publicly guaranteeing employment at a living wage to all who are able and willing. Now, this would not involve having jobs that are going to compete directly with what's already going on in the private sector. That would be counterproductive.
Right.
It would just foster new unemployment.
Okay.
It has to be a matter of providing the kind of public goods that profit-seeking enterprises are neither willing nor able to provide.
Let's talk about make-work jobs.
Well, not make-work. Rather, doing jobs for all of the goods that are necessary to promote our rights. I mean, think of all the substandard housing, lack of affordable housing, eliminating the problem of homelessness. All sorts of things could be constructed that the real estate market and home builders are not able to make a profit on currently, right? Likewise, caring for individuals who are by themselves, the elderly, providing aid in schools, getting involved in all sorts of public works without turning America into one big toll road, as our current president seems to want to do with his supposed public works program. There's no shortage, and we can look at it as a kind of anticipation of what could be done. To go back, to the 1930s when Roosevelt came out with the WPA, the Works Project Association, which put 8 million people to work, and of all sorts, artists, writers, lawyers, whatever, and producing the kind of public goods that we still take advantage of today. And there's room for all of that. And think of what a new birth of freedom this would represent, where everyone coming of age knows they will have a meaningful job available to them. Anyone coming back from the armed services will know they will have a meaningful job awaiting them. They won't have to face homelessness. Everyone coming out of prison will have a meaningful job awaiting them. It'll be possible to earn a living legally. Yeah. And there will be no temptation to have to resort to anything else.
Right. And this the entire line of argument that we can't expect corporations, even in the private sector, to behave appropriately because it would lead to job loss. That line of argument's gone.
Yeah. So I think this is actually a keystone. It's not sufficient by itself, but it's absolutely necessary and indispensable. Anytime you
So that's what a guarantee looks like. That's what a guarantee looks like. And you know what that would do to black communities, knowing that if you graduate high school, you have a guaranteed $15 an hour job waiting for you, reading to old people or picking up trash or doing something that the market won't do, or rehabbing a house guaranteed for you. And same with graduating. That would like black student debt for people who go to college but probably shouldn't have gone to college, didn't want to go to college, just felt like they had to go to college because that's what everyone tells you to do. They wouldn't have to go to college if they knew they had a $15 stable job waiting for them. That would change black life. And honestly, if Donald Trump said, we will guarantee you a federal job, and it'll make me the best jobs president in the history of presidents if you turn in all of your illegal immigrants. Yvette, what would you do?
I'm with it. I'm with it.
You would do it.
Listen, let me just say something. Like, here's the thing, and I want to be clear on this, One of the people on my page just said, and we're not socialists, and I agree. And I think regardless of what you feel about socialism,
we like Social Security.
I'm not telling you to be socialist. See, the thing about it is, and I think you can protect Social Security, and I think that's what we should fight for. But black people and leftists bother me sometimes because what they basically say is that, well, I just want Social Security. I just want to be socialist, and that's what I'm going to fight for. Yeah, socialism is your ideal, but we just elected a super capitalist. The whole world is capitalist for the most part. There's some in the Europe which are much more bent towards socialism, and if you want to integrate the two, I'm all pushing for that. But look at the realistic. We just elected a super capitalist and a Republican Congress. Why are you talking to me about Marxism right now? Unless you think we're about to just devolve. I just don't see that as realistic, and you have to act from where you are. And you pushing for that. It's just like, to me, it feels like work avoidance. It feels like work avoidance for you to be just like, well, I'm for socialism. Yeah, you just don't want to put in the work, like to do what has to be done right now to get what we need. Like anybody can say that's like me going to a restaurant and they're serving pot roast, and I say no, I want chicken. You just don't want to eat there. Just say it. You know what I mean? Just don't do something that's unrealistic. And let me just say one thing. But when I was coming in here, I saw a quote. I saw a quote from I was listening to Chris Hayes. Y'all ever watch Chris Hayes? I was listening to Chris Hayes, and Chris Hayes said something that was just stupid. He said he was talking about the speech Donald Trump wrote, and he mentioned 2 times before he went to break. After he came back, he mentioned that Donald Trump was holding a Sharpie. I'm holding a Sharpie too. What the hell does that matter? Just trying to make fun of Donald Trump because he's holding a Sharpie. Do you not understand that you're an idiot? Do you not understand that nobody cares that he was holding a Sharpie? Do you not understand? Isn't that how you lost the election? Like calling people deplorable and kind of just poking fun at them about stuff that don't matter. So I'm saying that to say that the Democrats cannot and will not save you. The Democrats don't care about you. The Democrats don't have your agenda at heart. And it's sad, but you see Elizabeth Warren getting on board with Ben Carson. She's supposed to be all about housing. They don't care. Like you see this guy, Tom Perez, I think his name is, former labor secretary. He's Hillary's guy. He's Obama's guy, and he's trying to be DNC chair. He's the same guy who tore apart the Bernie campaign basically by saying that, hey, we need to have, according to WikiLeaks, well, we need to have it so that everybody sees Bernie as the white guy's candidate. And just kind of peeling black people away and creating suspicion. And you saw the Congressional Black Caucus and all of their ridiculousness getting on board with that. These people cannot and will not save you. So if we don't get in this, if we don't make a move and say, listen, Trump, we have something for you. If you're going to listen, we will get on board with like this immigration stuff.
We'll build the wall. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you give us something. Now is not a time. And put up that Donald Trump if you get it. Like the tweet that he sent out today about he's sending the National Guard out. Donald Trump ain't playing. I've never seen a president do what they said they were going to do. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, I have never seen a president do what they said they were going to do as quick as this man is doing what he said he's going to do. He said, Ron, man, if you don't get your stuff together, I will send out the National Guard. Period. Right now.
All right, now they're good.
I'm beginning to believe this. No sound might be having an accident. So can you hear? But I don't
They
see.
can hear now. They can hear now.
They can hear now.
Yeah,
Y'all
people
can hear now. Okay. What happened? So you know, what I want to say. Okay. Recap. Well, I said the National Guard. Recap from National Guard. Well, I said that the National Guard is coming in. Somebody, I was like, "Is the National Guard?" Yeah, they coming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're coming. Good. You're good.
So if they're coming, what does that mean? Well, if they're coming, what is that? It means that Trump ain't playing. So it means that you have no moral space to have empathy for a group outside of your own. That's what it means. You have no moral space to have empathy for a group that's not your own group. There's no moral space to say, I care about the Mexicans and I want everybody to be great. There's no space for that anymore. That's not capitalism. And it doesn't matter where you want to live. It doesn't matter what you want to do. Like, we are here in this space and we don't control what happens in this space. We're 13% of this space. So you cannot extend that. There's no space because nobody's thinking about you. Nobody's trying to encourage you to go to Mexico and start a business. When's the last time a Mexican came to you and said, hey, why don't you get together with me, Devon? Or why don't you get together with me, Malik? And we're going to go down to Mexico and start a business. I want you to be my business partner. When's the last time that happened to you? So there is no space for you to have this empathy. There is no space for you to be out there marching in favor of sanctuary cities. We did not benefit from NAFTA. So if there's only one thing that Trump did that's beneficial to black people, it's immigration. We don't benefit. We're hurt. We're hurt by it. There's very good data that shows not only the incarceration rate and jobs in terms of especially black people in general and especially black males, it's hurt by immigration. And so capitalism, we're going to have to get honest. Like, if you want to say, well, Yvette, what does it mean? We got to get honest. There's no other way to say it. You just have to get honest. And we have to get honest about a lot of things. We got to bring our family together and have a conversation. And the conversation has to be, well, what do you do with the people in your life? That's part of the conversation too. We already said there's no space for us to extend empathy to everybody. You can't extend empathy to Mexicans and all brown people and Slovenians and Russians. No, you can't. There's no way to do that anymore because there are finite resources.
And we have a claim. We have a legitimate claim. That
free labor for how long?
For long enough to build this country.
Citizenship is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to bequeath to you a certain amount of rights and goods that have been established in this country. It's not, your citizenship as an American doesn't mean you have to drive for Uber. That's not what it's supposed to mean. No. And I don't know how long jobs are going to be in this country, but for as long as they are here, we want to have them. That's the whole point of being here. That's the whole point of being America. That's the whole point of being in the richest country in the world, is that there are certain things that you're supposed to get that come with that. Okay? And it doesn't, and inviting a group of third worlders here, and I people get upset about, oh, they're third worlders. But yeah, different countries are different. Yeah. This country probably has more in common with Britain or Germany than it does with Mexico or Honduras.
But Black America, Gary, Indiana, Selma, I think they might have more in common with Honduras or cities in Latin America than it does with, Heidelberg or Paris.
And the part of the problem is, let's be honest. When I talked about that family meeting, when I talk about the family meeting that needs to happen, if Trump doesn't help us and we lose the cash flow that's coming from government, what that means is that you're going to have to make some tough decisions in your own household.
Yeah.
You can't have people around you that are being reckless no more. You can't have people around you that are doing stuff that gets them in trouble, or behaving in ways where you got to come out of pocket and I'm gonna pay you later, or behaving in ways where, girl, I need you to give me I need you to help me with my car note. Well, you're being reckless. Or people who call you and want information. Well, can you tell me about the news? Well, can you tell me about this? No, part of this has to be, you have to be a grown person. You have to purge us. You have to get rid of these people and let them know, I can't deal with that. With what's going on, I can't have reckless people around me, because you can pull out a joint while we're driving and then I get arrested and we both get arrested. Life is too insecure for black people to have those people around.
No, what if those other people are still other black people?
You can't. That's still putting yourself at risk.
I don't know.
Like, you can't do that. You can't be reckless. There has to be a code of conduct. You can't do that. Why would you have somebody in your car, Iron who's smoking weed? Why?
Because that's my cousin.
No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. Life is too insecure for black people to do that. You need to do that at your own house. Understand it has to happen in your own life, in your own space. You can't be in my car like that, especially you got kids. You got kids, you got this knucklehead in the car with you who wants to do something. Oh, it's going to be all right. You can't do it. This is, understand something, people. This is the law and order president. With everything that I've seen in the last few days, he ain't playing. That doesn't mean you got to get rid of your family, but they got to know what's acceptable in your life.
Okay, that's
and
true.
What's unacceptable in your life. And if they can't do that, they can't be around. Because one mistake, when you're dealing with a law and order president, one mistake means it could be over for you. You get fired from your job if you get arrested and then you can't call in. That's serious. You can't have reckless people around. Now, I'm not saying this is what needs to happen. I'm telling you what happens if Trump doesn't give us anything. If he keeps cutting like he's been cutting and giving the Republicans what they want and we don't get anything, this is what your life looks like. And you have to make hard decisions. I'm not telling you that that's the way I want it to be. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you that one of your hard decisions is, we've been around wealthy people. That's part of the problem in America. We wear clothes that look like they're clothes because people make stuff to mimic it. They make coats that mimic it. That you have a car that looks like the poor man's Bentley. All of that stuff. But you have to have a conversation because we're not those people. We just live around those people. And part of the problem with living around those people is that our stuff costs just like their stuff costs. Right? So that's another problem with living around those people. So what's the solution with that? Well, the solution with that is you can't do what they do. Like, when are you going to have a conversation with yourself in terms of we can't go to Houston's. We're not even going to Longhorn. Like, maybe we go to the park on a date and enjoy a sandwich and potato chips. Like, if all of these cash flows get cut off, I don't think we really understand like what that means in terms of black life. And it really means that we become like, how our parents were? Like, my parents would drive. Even now, like, they'll drive somewhere and make sandwiches and put drinks in the cooler because every penny counts. So if you have to go to this space where even if you're working, a lot of people in your family aren't working and a lot of people in your space don't have anything, what that means for you is that you always saving money. There is no money. There are no jobs already. And if Trump's not going to give us anything and we're already economically on the bottom, you have to save every penny. Now, you're not saving every penny in my estimation to start a business necessarily or to get involved in the stock market. You're saving it because you might get laid off. You're saving it because your cousin might get laid off. You're saving it because maybe Medicaid gets cut and that cousin needs money. I don't know. Maybe Medicare gets cut and your mother needs money. Or she's on some type of disability or something like that. All of that matters. All of that matters. So it changes your whole life because so much of that cash flow that's been coming in ain't coming in no more because it came from the government. And we never realized that there was still a safety net there that was coming from the government.
That's the thing that was most disappointing about black politics. Maybe in the last 25 years, we've never realized, or we were either confused or didn't want to admit to ourselves that the government was undergirding the black middle class. Yeah. And I think everyone got a little bit of a wake-up call with Clinton ripping it away. But we're about to find out real quickly.
And there's a lot of stuff you have to get prepared for. But like everybody has to have, like, you can't be reckless with other people. You can't be reckless. Like, we've been able to be kind of like white people for a while. Yeah, we could be a little bit reckless. Not with the law and order president who really means business. You can't. And I'm not saying that you have to purge your family, but they gotta know, I can't do this no more. You have to be serious. You can't sit around watching BET. You can't sit around watching Love and Hip Hop. You have to read the news. And like I said, I'm still going to put that out. I know some of you have been asking me about the curation, but you have to, if I send you those articles, you got to read them. You got to understand what's happening in the world. You can't just be out there on no entertainment stuff. You can't do that. You can't do that. The funniest thing is that the reason it's going to hit us so hard is that we are the poorest people in America with rich people tastes, with rich people habits. we know what couture is, and we know what all that stuff is. We know what's it, Da Vinci, and we know what all that stuff is. Why? Like, if this stuff comes down, like it might come down, won't be no need for you to know why, and you don't need to know why now.
I'll be honest. I saw a lot of black people talking about the stock market today hitting 20,000 like they own real stocks.
Like you own real real stock.
Like you don't
Shut
own
up.
real stock. You have stock.
Shut up.
You have maybe 5, 10, maybe 20, 30.
And
like
maybe
no,
you have
don't.
a 401k.
You don't like. We're not.
Stock is about scale, people. If you really want to make big money in the stock market, you have to have some big money in the stock market.
That's
you
not
don't
a
need to talk
problem.
about that. Like, there's some stuff that shouldn't even be in our vocabulary.
No, we need to worry about
Like-
clean water, guaranteed jobs, or like a job.
The unemployment rate, all of that stuff is
Let's
stuff
wait-
we need to worry about.
Stop worrying about the stock market and try to get this minimum wage moved up. Who do you think we are? Just because white people like tell you that the stock market's important for your life doesn't mean it's important for your life. No,
No,
your
it doesn't mean
job
it's
is
important for your life.
No, your job is important for your life.
CNBC is just a cheerleader for the stock market.
Yeah,
If you're not in
that's
the
not
market,
about
now if
you.
you're in the market, I have a few friends who are traders. If you're in the market, great. If you're in, I have a few friends that have $100,000 in the market. And they trade daily. That's great, good for you. But most black people are not in the market.
They just talk like they want to be someday.
It's it's aspirational, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to have to happen. We might have to go back to living communally. That's something that might have to happen. All these black people tell me, "Oh, girl, I can't live with nobody else." Or, I had to have my own space. That's life is about to change if they cut all that money, because Pookie gonna come to your house, and John and Timothy and all of your friends who've been here, all of your friends who've been here for the longest amount of time, it's not gonna be their fault. For the most part, you might have some that are just knuckleheads, but a lot of these people, it's not going to be their fault that they're back home. It's not the millennials' fault that they're back home if they don't have a job. There are no jobs out there. You can't get mad at your kid talking about what are you doing back home. Ain't no jobs out there, and you didn't give me any. You didn't give me any money. You didn't give me any inheritance. You didn't give me any connections. You didn't give me anything that was going to make me a highly functional adult. So what do you expect I'm supposed to be doing except being back home? And a lot of you are doing that to your kids, whether you're a Gen Xer or a Boomer. You're doing that to your kids. You're making them feel guilty for being back home. When really and truthfully, what else were they going to be? With record high unemployment rates, and people say people hire people they know. Well, if you hire people you know, and you don't know any black people, that means you're going to hire only white people. The job rate is down. The millennials, they don't have anywhere to go. And so we're treating them. The one thing you have to do is stop holding them accountable and being mean to them. And the next thing you have to do is stop going crazy your own self and getting depressed. That's going to be another thing we're going to have to start doing. Stop telling yourself that.
Unless you're actually on the phone calling, trying to get your kid a job. If that's you actually using those connections, trying to get your kid a job, that's one thing. But I read a study that says black people don't do that because they're scared that even if their own kid gets a job, the kid might get fired and then it'll look bad on the boomer. So we're in an insecure place and we're behaving like an insecure people.
Yeah, and
And white people will get their idiot a job, their idiot nephew a job.
Yeah, they don't care.
Right, they don't care.
They don't care. And you have to understand that if this money, and I'm going to say this 1,000 times, if this money gets cut out, that has a consequence for your life, even if you're not on Medicaid. If they start cutting that safety net, we're disproportionately in that safety net, whether it's food stamps, whether it's Medicaid, we're in there because of where we come from. You stop letting people tell you that slavery was a long time ago. It really wasn't.
Sharecroppers
really wasn't.
What, generation and a half?
It wasn't even that. Slavery by another name ended in the 1940s. Stop letting people tell you that was a long time ago. There's nothing to be embarrassed about for being here right now where we are. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. We fought good, we persevered, and we're still here. A lot of people wouldn't be here. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But understand where we are and what that means if these safety nets are cut out. It always takes a longer time to heal a wound than it took to inflict the wound. If somebody pulls out a knife right now and cuts you, it takes 2 seconds. It's going to take longer than 2 seconds for you to heal that wound. So what I'm telling you is slavery lasted how long? Jim Crow lasted how long? All that lasted how long? It's going to take much more time to heal that wound than it took to inflict that wound. And we got to understand that. And we got to be down on ourselves talking about, well, black people just got to do better. No, there are certain things that come from, coming from a group of people that were enslaved for that long. There are certain repercussions to that. There are certain repercussions that some of you have kids who are floaters. Just kind of float around. They don't really do anything. And that's what happens. And some of you, as quiet as it's kept, there are women in the ghetto who have been living off drug dealers. Right? Because you're in the projects, and I'm saying I'm not talking about how you survive. It is what it is, but you're in the projects. And your boyfriend's a drug dealer. So when you need money, when you need food, he just gives you a little amount of his stash. What happens when that money's not there anymore? Because the law and order president put him in jail. So you have to understand that no matter who you are, if you are black, like all of this is barreling at you because of where we are economically before Trump even got elected, unless he does something for the African American community. So you have to understand what that means and what the consequence of. I think we're going to go to phone in a second, but I think we have to understand what that means and what the consequence of that is.
We got full lines when you're ready.
Let's go whenever you're ready.
All right. So let's go right here.
Hi, Yvette and
Hello, caller. You're on.
No green light.
Hi, Yvette.
Everybody got to understand what that means. There are consequences. There are consequences to being, to where we are economically. You on, caller?
Hi, Yvette and Irene. Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
Hi, this is Stacy from Freeport.
Hey, Stacy.
Hey, just made another donation, and I hope
Thank you.
The rest of your listeners do the same.
Thank
I have
you.
a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
And then I'll get off the air. But as per usual, you guys are on point. Just keep doing what you're doing. Now, we are told that the undocumented help the economy. Question, is that a lie? Because we're constantly told that. The other thing is, if the feds or the National Guard go into Chicago, are they going to clean up the police department? Because there is so much corruption there. And why is it that we are, well, first of all, I looked at the numbers, and I would say from the years 1968 to 1980 is when black people really had a window of opportunity.
Right.
And
I
that
pushed it to 86.
hasn't been there since. So we've just had a tiny, tiny space of time to breathe and grow. And I'm going to listen to you off the air. Thanks.
Thank you. Here's the thing. Regarding your first question is, I think black people have to stop asking themselves whether it helps the economy, quote unquote. Like, my big deal isn't the economy necessarily. Like, I'm more concerned specifically about, does it help us? And I think the data is pretty clear that it doesn't. It doesn't help us, and we don't have a shared fate with immigrants.
Exactly. It helps the white liberals who want cheap nannies and cheap gardeners, but if you're actually the labor, it doesn't help. And the studies show that it doesn't help black people. It actually leads to black incarceration.
Incarceration, yeah.
Because when you have a lot of jobless black people, then we got to put them somewhere. So, it might be good for the economy. It might even be good for the GDP, kind of the way Obama was. But is it good for black people? No. Well,
the thing about it
dilutes our power.
The thing about it is, and this is something I want to say. When Martin Luther King went to Chicago, he expected racism and all that stuff, of course. But they were very surprised that the racists who they encountered in Chicago were they said they were worse than Southern racists. They said they had white people hanging from trees and shouting "monkey die" and stuff like that. And they were surprised because these were people who came from European nations where they were kind of oppressed. And they were saying that they thought, we kind of had a shared fate. We expected something different from those white Europeans, those ethnic Europeans, and it didn't happen. Fate. So this idea that because other people are oppressed, we have a shared fate is just not true. So to assume that because Mexicans are poor, or some of them, not all of them, but some of them come from countries where they're poor, that they're going to have a shared fate with you, it's just not true.
All right.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate it. But in terms of the National Guard, I don't think anything's going to happen with the police. I think Donald Trump supports the police across the board. I know the police in Chicago. I mean, I don't know how much more corrupt could you be. You had a torture chamber, basically, a black site that you took people to. I don't know how you can get much worse than that. But I don't see anybody cleaning that up. And so what black people need to do now is get into a mode of ask, and you try to leverage that, and you push your lawmakers to do that. I think we still do that because your lawmakers have to be working in your interest. That's what they have to do. And they still have to be saying, we need this black agenda. Yvette brought up some good stuff. Incorporate that stuff into what you're doing. They need to do that. But what I'm saying is that you always have to have an alternative plan. If this doesn't happen, stuff is going to get vicious. And you have to be ready. And that means making a lot of lifestyle changes, a lot of lifestyle choices, and paying attention every day to information. Because information is going to be the best tool that you have. And a lot of people don't have information. There are a lot of other people in other communities that don't read and don't do stuff. That's going to be the tool that helps you see where the puck is going and where you need to pivot.
All right. Let's go 216. I don't know where that is.
Me either.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Oh my God. Hello, Yvette.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh my God, I love this show. Oh my God, I love this show. I cannot believe I'm on right now. I'm actually watching the Donald Trump first White House interview, which is really mind-boggling to me.
Oh.
But I just want to say I love you, Jeremy.
Love you too.
And Irony and y'all are like my inspiration to
that's so
blow these
sweet.
people miles away with politics.
Good for you. Where's he at?
Where are you?
I wanted to kind of talk to you about what you said a little bit earlier because I'm a nurse. I'm sorry, my name is Latrell from Ohio.
Oh, okay.
I'm a nurse, and I kind
That's a
of
good
deal
job.
with
Keep that
other
job.
ethnic groups and type of people. And what you said about people communing together, living together, and things of that nature, is so prevalent because most of my residents and things of that nature, their kids still live with them. Their wives, their children, still live with them, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Their children, they don't want to kick their kids out until they know for sure that, okay, y'all can take care of yourselves, y'all never have to come back. But it seems like with Americans, as soon as you turn 18, oh, you got to get out of my house.
I got to talk a little bit about
18,
that. I got to say a little bit about that.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, Latrell. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. It just seems like as Americans, we're such in a rush to just throw our children to the wolves, not even understanding that we're not even giving them an economic or educational prowess to stay on their own. And I think a lot of Americans don't understand that or just can't grasp the fact. And also as well, I'm glad that you brought up the issue about the insurance and things of that nature because I didn't even know Donald Trump was even proposing those things. And I'm a starch Donald Trump fan, but I have found one thing that I'm kind of in disagreement with because if he goes through with those, whatever you were saying earlier, if he goes through with that affects my business as a personal private caretaker, because of the point of the fact is that that's how I get paid. Mm-hmm. I get paid through Medicare, Medicaid, and through the government. I don't get paid through people paying me themselves or insurance. So for me, I'm kind of glad that you brought that point up because I never knew that. I never even heard of it. And so I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate you, and I love you guys, seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate Latrell. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, what he said about... so black people were sold, especially, I think boomers, but there was a time where this made sense because houses were cheaper back then for them, and the wages haven't gone up as much. But they were sold a myth that once you turn 18, you're out. Like, that's what independence looked like. And white people told them that, and white people did that. What white people didn't tell the black boomers was like, well, we also paid for our kids' college. Yeah. We paid for either that house or like a substantive part of the down payment of that house. So the notion that 18 and you're out and independent is actually deeper in the black community than it is in everyone else's community. Which is crazy because we're the least likely. That's going to work the least for us.
Your kids have the fewest tools.
Your kids have the fewest. You can't give them a down payment. They have the most debt. Yet you think 18 and you're out because they should be independent. And that's like a white myth that the white people didn't even live by. Because, they're buying the kids college and they're like sneaking paying the down payment on the house and they paid for the wedding. Like all of those things that like.
Well, I think people have to
confused.
understand too that they're like, why do you think that white people are telling you the truth? Like a white person will sit at the table with you and be like, oh yeah, I'm struggling too. No, she not. Like not like you. Like her definition of struggle is the same thing. It's not the same thing as your definition of struggle. So
definition of independence isn't even the same thing.
And the thing is, like, your kid is least able, but you want to get them out the house, and you don't understand that you didn't raise a functional kid because you never thought about, like, if you're gonna have kids as a black person, and we had this episode, I'm not gonna go back over it. You can find it, but you really have to go over in your mind what it takes to raise a highly functional kid. Can I pay for college? Am I going to give them some inheritance? Am I going to put a down payment on the house? All those things go in to make a highly functional kid. And you probably need more than that, considering we're at a record levels of income inequality in this country. So you don't think about that. You just think, well, you got to get out, because I want to be free. Well, nobody told you to have a kid anyway. I don't want to care about, I want my life back. Nobody told you to give your life up. If you had planned your child, maybe things would be different. You have to be intentional in this life. That's what I keep saying. Like, this life that we're living now doesn't have any room for recklessness. It doesn't have any room for, I forgot to take my birth control pill. There's no room for that no more because these kids cost.
One guy said, white people are programmed from the start to not talk about the hookup.
No!
They don't talk about the hookup.
If you talk about it, you might want it. Somebody else might want it. I want you to believe, because in order for you to believe in the myth, you have to believe as a black person there is no hookup. Because then you believe in, like somebody said here, like we falling for the rugged individualism bullshit. You have to believe that. So nobody's gonna tell you I got the hookup, because this economy thrives on black failure.
Chelsea Clinton and Ivanka Trump will tell you in your face with a clear face that they didn't get the hookup and they did it on their own.
Yeah.
Like, that's the life we live with.
But you know what's worse? We'll believe them.
We'll believe them. We're like, yes, you did, Chelsea. Yes, you did, Ivanka.
Good for you, Chelsea.
Good for you. You did it all on your own.
I want to do that too. I want to do that too. 52% of white women voted for Trump, but they polled for Hillary. 70% for Hillary. 52%, they polled 70 for Hillary.
They know what
you just telling stories. You're just lying. You just lie. You lied to the pollster, and then you're gonna show up at the Women's March. Ooh, it's awful.
With a hat. Let's keep going.
Yep.
We're gonna keep going. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. This is I'm calling. This is Lolo.
Hey,
Can
Lolo.
you hear me?
I can hear you, Lolo.
Yeah, I'm from Africa, but I'm in the United States. I'm always listening to your comments, and I like it. Been also into activism long time ago. So I don't know. I just want to talk it very straight to the point. If I'm out of line, please put me back, because what I see about people here, especially African Americans that I see is they sometimes don't know the history, or they don't do the effort to read the history. The first slave master for black men was the Arabs, and then it was the blacks on black South, right? In Africa, I'm talking about now. So that is what is happening, and people don't look at it. They don't see the reality. And they are being told, black men was the first Muslim or whatever. Spirituality is spirit, nothing with black men or white men. So people have to really read their history and try to understand. Arab was the first slave master for a black man. Today, we are not facing a white man. We are facing the Chinese and the Arab. Even today, what is now, it's not Trump, it's not Donald Trump which is under fire and fight. It's Christianity.
Well,
that is what it is. The underlying cause is Christianity. People want us to give up our ways of Christianity. That is actually what it is.
Going to take.
And the other thing that I was.
What? I'm sorry. Thank you, Carla. What are we going? I appreciate your call. We gotta keep it moving. You want to take that, Irony?
So churches are complicated institutions, and there's a reason why we were allowed, as slaves in Jim Crow. We weren't allowed universities and we weren't allowed schools, but we were allowed churches. Churches are deeply counter-revolutionary institutions, and nothing short of a revolution is going to get black people like a real middle class. So like, I don't know. It is complicated, but
you don't understand what she said either.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
let's go to the next call. Let's go to the next call. Let's keep it moving. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
You're on.
Hey, good evening, Yvette. My name
evening.
is Stan Sr. I posted a comment on your on one of your videos saying that we need to have a seat at the table because if we don't, we will end up on the menu or only getting scraps from the table.
That was a great comment. I used that comment. I stole it from you. That was a great comment. I used it on Facebook the other day. That was a great comment.
Good. I'm glad you liked it. What I see right now, and I love the show. I love what you guys are doing. My politics tend to lean a little to the right, but you know what? We all need to have this conversation.
Good.
And what I see right now is the chessboard is being reset. We just had a regime change, and everybody's jockeying for position. What I saw, I think it was yesterday, the president met with top business leaders in the morning, and then unions in the afternoon.
All right.
Richard Trumka, the head of the Teamsters,
Yeah.
was talking about how great it was to meet with Trump and all this stuff. Now, when was the last time you've seen unions talking nicely about Republicans? And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know what? As black people, we don't need to be going, no.
No.
I'm not getting involved. No. We need to jockey for our spot, too.
Right.
And make sure that when important issues come up that are going to affect us, that we have a say in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But that's the case I've been making. And part of my show today is to really show people, like people act like that we can just sit around and not jockey for a spot. Yeah. We can't afford to do that. So what I've been trying to tell you about what life looks like if we don't jockey for a spot is to try to encourage you, regardless of what you see. Like everything's going to be in shift probably for another 20, 30 days. Like we have to be pushing for this. And so my thing is to show you that life's not going to be pretty. You don't understand. Be like, oh, he ain't never going to give us nothing to sit back.
No. Get our contracts. Get our deals.
It's going to be ugly. Like if you don't do it, it's going to get really. And if he does what Republicans want him to do, because Trump is he seems to be a person that listens to people who get in the room. So what I would like to do is get in the room. If you get in the room, people say, they said, well, he was very, he listened to us. Even some people, on some environmental stuff, which he's been very bad, according to the environmental stuff. It's like, well, he did listen. Listen. I just want to be in the room. All I want, or get somebody in the room. If you can get me somebody who I respect in the room, or some thought leaders, people who can really make the case. That's what I want. Like 10 minutes. Like give some real people with real ideas. 10, 15 minutes at least in the room. We got to be in the room. We can't influence them if we're not in the room. And if you're not, like he said, if you're not at the table, you on the menu. And we've been on the menu for a long time. I don't want to be on the menu no more.
All right. I think we're going to go. I'm always scared to go to Atlanta, but my home.
Let me see the number. No, I don't know nobody. I don't think I know.
Make sure it's not one of your cousins.
I know.
All right, Atlanta, here it
My
comes.
cousins is not in Atlanta.
Here it comes. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hey, Yvette. Hey, Irony.
Hey.
Nice seeing you guys up here again. Love what you're doing. I called them for, so I'm just going to get right into it. I got to address this do for self argument because I'm always having arguments with family and friends and coworkers about we got to do for self. And I just sat around trying to think, like, why is that such an argument that black folks harp on? And I kind of realized that, it's a very self-empowering argument. It gives you kind of agency over, your life. But at the same time, it's not considering the data. Everything that you and I are putting out just goes right in the face of this telling the whole community to do for self. And it doesn't uplift the community. It only does stuff things for the individual. And I kind of get the feeling that when I talk to a lot of these folks, they say this because the real truth is that they don't have the resources to do otherwise for their kids and their family. Yeah. That's why they're so much on this do for self kick.
Yeah.
And then a lot of black people, that say this, I don't really think they're really interested in uplift the community. They just want to uplift themselves. Right. And I speak mainly to your wannabe middle class people that you talk about, you wear all the accoutrement of middle class, but your wealth doesn't back that up, or Negroes with jobs, as we call them.
Yeah.
That's a charter school crowd.
So, even those that do for self or claim that they do for self, they leave out, the family gifts they get, inheritance,
good
policy,
good
government structure and systems that inherit that, like education, roads, water. Nobody built that. Those are public goods. You have to use those in order to get to where you are. So, That's all I want to say. I'm gonna get off now. Let you guys address it, and thanks for talking.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that comment. I think he's right.
Yeah.
Like he's right on a lot of levels. I mean, I think what we don't understand about this do for self crowd is just like I want to do for myself. So you see that among a lot of black capitalists who want to get money. I don't think a lot of them are concerned
Sandra
about
Good
moving
on
up.
Facebook, I think, has it right.
What's
Do
that?
for self rhetoric sells.
Yeah,
Do for
it's
self
good because it
lectures,
makes us feel
tapes.
good. Like part of the reason people ask me, like part of the reason that I don't think I
But
get more
Oprah, good-
subscribers because I'm not giving you something that's not true. I'm not giving you something that's just gonna make you feel good. And then like you walk away and be like, yes, I can do it. Like my YouTube is not a pep rally for black people. It's just the truth. Like the truth is I know it. It's the data. Like I'm not gonna give you just a pep rally so that you can feel good. I want you to understand what's happening. I want you to be able to navigate the terrain. And to the extent that we make mistakes, we'll correct them and we'll re-navigate and reorient ourselves. But it's much easier. It's almost like a preacher in a way.
Someone just came out with a real good idea.
What's that?
They're saying everyone should send Omarosa a tweet to get you a meeting.
Tweet her right now. You can hashtag meet with Vet.
Meet with Vet.
Meet with Vet. Hashtag meet with Vet. I give him my all. I'll make
we got a lot of
make
people watching right now. If you're watching, I
I will
tweet
make a damn
Omarosa.
good case. I can promise you that I'll take my one shot. I will take my one shot. I'll leave it out on the floor. That's what they say. You gotta leave it out on the floor when you're in
Everybody
athletics. I
tweet
will
Omarosa.
hashtag meet with Vet. Just Yvette and put my stuff in there. I think we should do that because what do we have to lose? Like what do we have to lose? Like just give me 15 minutes. I promise I'll get more out of that 15 minutes than you ever seen in your life. You won't know so much about black people and what we need. Humble myself, Mr. Trump. I understand. I can do whatever. I don't care. Like, because it's the thing about it. Like John Lewis tried to make it about him and like what he did. It ain't about me. Like if I have to humble myself, like people say, well, I ain't gonna, kiss no ass. Well, I mean, if I had to kiss a little ass to get black people money, it's okay. You know what I mean? I'll get over it. I'll recover. You know what I mean? Like, it's all right. It's okay with me. So, I mean, I think that. But what he said, let's get back to what he said. Like, he said it makes black people kind of feel like they have agency. And it's really the illusion of agency. It's really the illusion of agency. So, it kind of like, because you get depressed if you realize that a lot of this stuff isn't in your control. And so, you give yourself this feeling of like, well, it's my fault. I can do it. And if I just do this, I can do it. Because it's too hard for you to like digest the fact that maybe it's not me. And so you take on this very conservative argument. This is the argument of, it's funny to me that black people always say, I hate right wingers and I hate conservatives. But do you understand that the argument that you're making about do for self is a very conservative argument? You're walking lockstep with Republicans when you say that black people can do. You've been sold a bill of goods. Wow. You've been hoodwinked. You've been duped. Because that's what Republicans have always wanted you to say. And now you're mouthing it out of black lips.
People are surprised when Melania Trump and Michelle Obama came out with the same speech.
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they? It's all the do for self, pull yourself up by the bootstrap nonsense. It's a Republican spiel.
And it doesn't take into account that, Michelle Obama came of age during a period where affirmative action was still a thing. Like it's being gutted now by the Supreme Court, but it was still like there. That kind of explains your job, Michelle. That explains Princeton.
Yeah, well, she was almost doing it for herself when she almost divorced Barack for losing to Bobby Rush.
Ooh, I ain't gonna get into their personal life.
I'm just saying, she filled out the papers. She was looking out for number one.
I ain't got no problem. Listen, I don't know what happened in that relationship. Like I don't think Barack is no cup of tea. Like I think Michelle kind of understands that internally who he is. She married a guy who was white and who had a black daddy. And I don't know how that necessarily fit with the woman from Chicago. I don't know how that went. So so I have kind of mixed feelings on that. I think both of them have a lot, leave a lot to be desired.
All right.
So to speak.
Keep it moving. I think this cat might be one we like. Hold on. Hello, you're on? Yeah, you're on.
Hello?
Hello. Oh, man. You there?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I have a comment. I'm Robin calling from Texas.
Hey, Robin.
It's a 713. That's a Chicago number.
Hi, how are y'all doing this evening?
Pretty good.
We as black people have been doing the same insanity matrix for decades now, and it has gotten us nowhere.
Well, it got baby boomers somewhere.
And here we're thinking that we have a united Congressional Black Caucus that works for us. Mm-mm. Well, they don't.
No.
They are the divide and the wall to keep us away from the resources that should have been going into our communities in the first place, okay? And also, you know the Census Bureau, the census that comes out every 10 years?
Yes.
And they say, oh, the community is going to get X amount of dollars, and then more roads, and then more schools, and yada, 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 and it's going to bring more for businesses and small businesses. Well, for the past 50 years, that has not been the case. Within the past 10 years, how many schools have closed?
Yes.
What happened to that money?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yes.
Who got it with all these schools closing?
Black
All the
teachers.
schools closing in Chicago. You know, where is that money? And also, I want to bring up the census because it is a tool that has been utilized to work against Black people because though they use that to get the number of visas that are going to go out to foreign workers and bring them back into the United States to take the jobs that Black people could have been working. So it's all a big scam, and it's under the disguise that they're really doing something for the Black community and Black people when they really aren't.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to boycott that census.
Oh,
that is our downfall.
I never thought about that. I've never thought about anything like
worry
that. So
about that,
I'd have to think about that long and hard because I never thought about
congressional
anything like
districts are tied to the census in weird
Yeah,
ways.
that's true. That's true.
We don't want to dilute our citizenship.
I think she's exactly right about the CBC.
Right.
Because right now the Congressional Black Caucus is what stood in the way of us and Trump. Because you had John Lewis, who is a leader and who has the most political capital, coming out and saying, well, we can't talk to Trump and you shouldn't. And I think he's illegitimate. And the reason he said that is his expectation was that everybody else would just fall in line. Like I say, he's illegitimate. I'm an icon. John Lewis don't ever want to talk about what he's been doing since he's been in Congress. He always talks about what he did before he got there. And that's supposed to mean more than what has happened since he's been there. And like he's emblematic of that. And so I do think exactly what you're saying about John Lewis, because I need a direct line to that administration. I don't want to have to go through John Lewis. And then when John Lewis talks, so many Black people are influenced. Oh, John Lewis said he's illegitimate, so I believe that. No, John Lewis is doing the bidding of the Democrats. He's doing the bidding of Hillary Clinton. He's doing the bidding of the DNC. He's not doing the bidding of the people in his district. Or he would have went to Trump and said, hey, Mr. Trump, hey, President Trump, we need things. We need stuff in our district. He would have told them how many poor people are in his district. The job opportunity lost his district. And he would have said, listen, I need your help. Like if he was really out to do what's best for Black people, he would have said, I need your help. I want to be a partner with you, or we can be a partner, and I want to get in your face to influence you. I want to be the first meeting you have once you become president. If I'm John Lewis and I'm a civil rights icon, that's what I say. I want to be the first meeting that you have. We can take pictures, do all that, but I want to be with you in that Oval Office. And I want to tell you about Black people. I want to tell you, and I'm not going to lie, I'm going to tell you about what Barack Obama did not do. That's who I'm going to be. And that's the role I'm going to play. So I don't think any of that happened. And so, it is what it is.
With a CBC like that, we don't need any enemies.
No, because they just stand in the way. They just protect, because they just stand in the way of everything. But they're protecting themselves.
Yeah, because they don't have anything themselves. But John Lewis never made money. All right, let's go to 630. I don't know where that is. All right, you're on the air.
Thank you. Really quick. The African woman that called, I like to just address something she said. We do know our history. She made a point that we don't know our history. Yes, we do know our history. And the fact that there were slaves somewhere else has nothing to do with slaves here in America. Yes, slaves were brought in from Africa and was dispersed all over, but the difference with the slaves here in America was the way they were treated, and that's where people fail to understand. Yes, there were slaves all over,
but the Americans treated their slaves differently, so much so this is the only place where a civil war had to take place in order for them slaves to be free.
That is true. That is true.
And when we were free, we still wasn't free because of Jim Crow that came right on after.
Plantation slavery is nothing like.
We do know our history.
Right.
But another thing, too, is we do have to have a seat at the table. And because there are other groups who are usurping our experience, and we don't even realize that. Did you hear during the election where the Hispanics was saying that Donald Trump is not going to win unless he gets the Hispanic vote? That's something that we knew as Black Americans before all of these immigrants came, that people had to talk with us in order to get our vote. So then the Hispanics started using that. There was a girl on the weekend, and it made me upset. The day before Martin Luther King's birthday, they did that march. They had these illegals all up in the historical church, and this woman from Caucus, a young person, not an economist, sat there and said, if the illegals go back, it's going to be a recession. Who told her that?
That's not true. That's not true.
Where did you get your information from? Because it's wrong. We need to be at that table. We need to identify who we are, because now in people's minds, we are simply people of color, which is everybody else.
Yep.
And we are simply what's the other term they use?
Minorities.
Not immigrants, but we're just thrown in with everybody else.
Minorities.
We're not everybody else, and it just angers me. It really does. So we're being affected most by what's going on, and we're the least spoken to.
Yes.
And it's because of the leaders. It's also because of these so-called leaders. Now, they want to not talk to Donald Trump, but as you keep bringing out, okay, so what does that mean with your interest in us? If you want to talk to Donald Trump, that means you're just serving a self-service interest. Your service is not for us.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So here's 60 of them did not go to the inauguration, as though because they didn't go, Donald Trump was not going to be inaugurated.
Exactly.
You know? So what? The event was canceled because you didn't go?
Mm-hmm. Nobody cared.
Come on.
Nobody cared. They miss you.
And here you have Luis Gutierrez in Chicago again. Had a scene going on yesterday, a town hall going on yesterday, or day before. Made it plain and loud. Do not mess with DACA. You leave DACA along with what Obama put in place. This is what he's telling Trump. I hope he keep on to make him mad. He's going to make Trump mad. And then Trump's going to get vindictive. But we have to do something with that. We have got to do something, because we are, again, we're just a part of everybody that's not white. We're part of all the other groups that are not white. And that's how people are seeing us now. We have no significance.
No.
Slaves, who descendants of slaves, who was that?
Yeah.
So history is being rewritten before our face.
All right.
I agree with you. Thank you, Carl. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, that's why, one of the things we have to get rid of is this people of color mess.
Yeah.
Don't let
or minorities.
Minorities, people of color. Don't group me in with that. I have a claim. I have a very special claim that, and that's why people say, why would you call yourself? There is no shared fate in America. Why would you call yourself descendant of slaves? You're tying yourself to a slave. No, I'm tying myself to money. I'm tying myself to the money that we missed out on because our people were slaves. That's what I'm tying myself to, you idiot. I'm not tying myself to slavery just because it's slavery. I'm tying myself to the fact that I'm part of a group that missed out on the money that we were supposed to get, the generational wealth. I'm not a part of a group that just got here yesterday or last week. So by saying I'm descendant of a slave, I'm tying myself to that group. That's what it's about. It's not about, stop feeling so inferior because your people were slaves. It means you have a financial thing going on. It means it
means it's not your fault that your cousins are poor.
There you go, Ira. It means it's not your fault that your cousins are poor. And by letting them call us people of color and group us all together, that dilutes our claim. It puts me in the category of somebody who just crossed the border last week. We're both the same. Y'all both minorities, and Democrats did this. Democrats were the ones who did this and started calling just
Someone
minorities.
Just said Ann Coulter said America owed blacks. You tell this real well. Tell them what's going on.
Yeah, there's a great book You know, it's a funny book. There's some stuff like Ann Coulter's like, this is how I am about politics. I can agree with you on one thing and disagree with you on 10 things. It's all right. But there's a part where Ann Coulter said specifically, and I told this story before, she's Ann Coulter, you can't get more conservative than Ann Coulter. She's on the right. But she says basically, listen, Democrats gave away all the goods that were owned by black people to everybody to get votes. So there was a specific claim for black people. And that's why we had affirmative action. That's why we were giving away money and stuff. You know, that's a large reason why we had a lot of welfare. We were trying to undergird black people. And Democrats came and made it for everybody so that they could get more votes. So getting votes for Mexicans, somebody from Honduras, El Salvador, all of that stuff, we made everybody say, even white women, you can get affirmative action too. And it was a specific claim for us. In order to get votes, Democrats spread it around and said, we're in favor of these things for everybody. But it's not for everybody. It was intended of people that come from people who were shackled, who were enslaved and made to do things they didn't want to do. So, and made to have free labor. I'm talking about cotton fields and stuff. I'm talking about building wealth for white people. That's what they did. So I think you have to understand what that means. And I think you have to agree with that. Yes, it is for us. Yes, we're not people of color. And nobody is owed the same thing that we're owed. We have a specific claim to this country and specifically to this country's wealth. And I think part of what it takes, and I think that's why Irene and I are here, it takes a political education for us to be just like, nah, man, you just like me, you ain't white. Stop looking at life through the lens of complexion and skin color. That's how we got Obama. That's not it. You have to look at life through legacy and lineage and wealth and all that. That's it.
That's the question.
In this country, because your cousins who are poor in this country are not poor for the same reason that somebody else who's of dark skin is poor in another country. All right. And there was a great article that I put up a while ago in the Washington Post about how they go back because money spends differently in Mexico. So there was a guy who made $8,000 and went back to Mexico and started a business because dollars spend differently. It's cheaper. We can't do that here. So we're limited in terms of what we can do. And we have a specific claim in this country. You have to understand that, and you have to be willing to upset people, upset the apple cart and say, no. We're not people of color. I'm a descendant of a slave. You are El Salvadorian. We're not the same thing. And don't try to make us the same.
All right. Can we take one more?
Yep.
Last caller will go. We'll go to Chicago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna cut you out of here.
Hey.
That's a way to say hello.
Right.
We'll go to Chicago.
I gave you guys a break. I haven't called in a while. But, I just wanted to say that, we gave the white people the biggest hookup of all. It was free labor.
Oh,
so they were able to hook up. They got the real hookup, and we got absolutely nothing.
No.
And it's time for us to come together as one, like you were talking about, bringing our funding together. Yvette, I tried this, in neighborhoods, go to black people. Sometimes black people think you're being shady or something. But to go to each black household and say, look, this is the deal. This is what's happening to us. You make an income, I make an income. If we can all get together on this block, go to the next block, and kind of bring our funding together so that we can have some sort of resource if something does go down, I think that there will be some sort of start in that direction. And for all those Negroes that was out there marching, those black women that have absolutely nothing in common with white women.
Good.
Had nothing in common with white women. White women are delusional and selfish and self-centered and has been the main, they have been the main ones that have
benefited from affirmative action.
Benefited from slavery, and they continue to benefit from it. And for us to be on the front line now, what I want to see, let's see if we can get these celebrities, these white celebrities, and our politicians, these black politicians that don't want to meet with Trump. Let's see if they come to Chicago in March when Trump sends in all of the National Guards and everyone to Chicago to shoot the police department. Let's see if they galvanize to march. Let's see if that happens. Let's get them to march for that.
Shocker, it won't. They won't. They won't come.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You marching for white women. White women don't have any problems. White women are okay. They don't have any problems. Trump is not going to do anything to white women. Black people are the ones that need the help. We need to come together as one. Forget about John Lewis. We already know those jokers. They've never done anything. They're not about to start to do anything. We need to do something. I want to know how. That one lady called you, Yvette. She said that she was going to get you in with Omarosa. What's happening with that?
Well, I think she's trying, but it all depends on what kind of juice you got, right? And so like I mean, people try, but it is what it is. But I appreciate the effort regardless. I always appreciate the effort regardless. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carla. I appreciate that. The thing about it is, and this is one thing that she's right about. She was right about a lot of stuff. But the thing about it is, like she said, they're not going to show up. The white women are not going to show up when the National Guard comes in. And that's because part of that is because we never have an ask.
Right.
We just show up. Although the girl with the sign did have an ask. Like, y'all voted for Trump. Like, she said, organize your people. And because the white women were like, we didn't vote for Trump, or I'm so ashamed. And she was like, don't be ashamed. Organize your people, because your people are a problem. And so I think part of the thing is you have to have an ask when you're dealing with, if you're going to deal with, these groups, whatever white woman organization it is, you have to say, in order for me to be a part of whatever you're trying to do, you have to help me. I'm just not going to show up so that you look good on CNN and we can have this cathartic, I am a woman, hear me roar nonsense. Don't nobody care about that. Ain't no black woman got time to be bothered with I am woman and all that stuff. Like, what am I getting from you? Like, what are you promising me as an organization?
There were, like I said before, there were a lot of black women actually on stage at the Washington rally, but not one of them talked about affirmative action. Not one of them talked about what are you going to do for black businesses. What are you doing to get black money in black people's pockets? So like that was an issue, as if a black woman's issue doesn't have to do with her blackness; it has to do with her womanness, and that's just not true. Like there's no shared fate between black women.
The point of demarcation for black people, and I need black people to understand this, is race. That is the most consequential thing in your life. That is the most consequential thing in your life is race. And it don't matter. It don't matter. All the other stuff it comes second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh. The most consequential thing in your life is the fact that you come from slaves. That's it.
So we had black women with white talking points in a dialect.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they got. Yeah, that's what it.
And we might have to get into some survival stuff too in terms of solutions. I just saw a Facebook friend say I raise hens. And I grow my own food. Damn, Skippy. We might need to learn how to do more of that. People who never killed anything, you might have to, if you eat meat, you might need to learn how to kill something. You need to learn how to track it, to find out where that animal went. You never know what's going to go down. We don't listen. You want to go ahead. You want to go head to head with people who own the most guns and do survival camps.
No, we don't.
Is y'all crazy?
No, I do not. They're shooting things right now. Like, that's what they do. White people shoot. That's not my life.
What you gonna do? It's gonna be your life if anything pop off. So you better get these people in check. Talk about he's illegitimate. If something pop off, that's gonna be your life. You're gonna be killing that squirrel I just saw jump from that tree. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be your life. You gotta have good aim, and you gotta know how to skin him, and all that stuff.
Yvette, don't even pretend you're about that life. If something goes down like that,
I know about that life. You know wwhy? Because I got family that used to skin squirrels and have to eat them. So
something goes down, you're pointing out illegal immigrants to white people,
and I'm killing the squirrel if I gotta eat it, because I'm sure he tastes just like chicken, and I know how to skin him. If I have to eat it, but I don't like eat meat. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You can't even say what you won't do in these days and times. You can't even say, well, I don't eat meat. You can't say that. You never know what you might eat. I rarely eat meat. I eat it occasionally, but you can't say what you won't do. You can't say that you wouldn't, if you was hungry, you wouldn't take that squirrel out. You might have to be about that life. You don't know what life holds. You might have to take him out and some of his friends, and you might have to follow them to where they sleep. You don't know. So stop acting like that you don't benefit from like being in a stable country. Like it's stable and like you're not chasing a squirrel right now. Like in Venezuela, I'm sure somebody's chasing a squirrel or a dog or a cat right now.
I'm from California, and you're famous.
That don't matter.
All right.
In the South, we hunt.
I'm a transplant. All right, so tell the people who we are.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tonight's show. Antonio told me Yvette killed a squirrel before. Antonio, don't be telling people what I said. I never killed another one. Anyway, for the animal rights, see, it's Yvette Carnell. If you all are watching, I want you all to share this video. I want you all to like the page. If I didn't get to you tonight, I apologize. Hopefully, our next show every Monday and Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it. Don't forget to share with your friends. If tweeting is something you're into, I want you to also tweet. We're trying to grow. You can go to Donate Brown. Again, that's donatebrown.com. Or you can go to breakingbrown.com and sign up for a monthly.
That's better, guys. Do that.
Monthly contribution. Subscribe to Brown. Subscribe to Brown.com. Subscribe to Brown.com. Subscribe to our mailing list. I'm just trying to grow the mailing list so that, I don't have to depend so hard on Facebook or any other social media to reach people, because if something goes down, I don't want to just be kind of out there and I can't reach anybody. So I thank you all. It was a great show. I appreciate it. And we'll see you back again here Monday. I'm sure I'll do something. Probably Donald Trump has been busy. So I'm sure I'll do something before that. But if not, I'll see you there.